So if we make another one, start from scratch. I'll walk you through this again. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a triangle. And it's going to look like this. Kind of close to a right triangle, but I'm not concerned that it is. I just want to have it have a particular shape as such. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line of reflection over here on a little bit of an angle. I'm going to make a nice long line of reflection. How does it all? Oh, it does fit. And then I'm going to call it A, B, C to keep track of things. And its exactness is not important. Just make sure that your edges are nice and straight with a ruler. And make sure you have room to reflect it. So, yes, you can take something like one of those triangles I had you guys use to do your 90-degree angles. You know, you put a triangle on here like this. And then you could go and say, okay, well, here's my triangle, and I'm going to draw a 90-degree angle, a line, and then I'm going to extend that line across. And I'm going to do that for each of the points. And then I'm going to measure along that line how far away. So once I have this line here, how far away was this point from the line of reflection? I got to make it the same distance. That's measuring, that's using tools. And when you're doing this work with a drawing compass, then it's what's called a construction. You're not using a measuring tool, you're using circles. And that's it. So I'll go through it one more time. I'm going to pick point A. Are we ready? So set your compass at a radius that's comfortably long, longer than it is distance to the line of reflection. Put the point of the compass at point A. Make a mark. Make a second mark.
Does it matter how far away it is?
Doesn't matter. You make it as long or as short as you want. But once you start making your marks, you may not change the radius of your compass until you're done reflecting that point. So I've got this, I've got this. And now I'm going to take the point of the compass and put it on the line of reflection and make an arc. And then intersect that arc. You're done. That's it. You've reflected the point. Your line of reflection needs to be way longer. So make your line of reflection much longer than it is. You need to use a ruler. You need to use a straight edge, not that. Find a ruler, borrow a ruler, straight.
Should move back over that side.
Okay, so did you move it? Yeah. So that's point of intersection?
Step one is
That's
2.
85.
Step one is like 2 radio.
Are we going back here? Same. But do it, when you do this, do one point at a time. Once you reflect, go and mark your point of reflection and label it. Then move on to the next point. Do another corner of the triangle. And when you go and do a different corner, you can change the radius. But through the entire reflection of that point, you have to hold the same radius.
Step one.
Same thing. So if you wanna watch, you can watch. It's up to you. So I'm gonna go to point B, make a mark on my line of reflection, make a second mark, use those. Then you do the same with C. C, this point that's real far away from the line of reflection, though, you're gonna have to make a big radius on your drawing compass. And then connect your points. You can try to write them. I'm afraid I'll be confused. Not any radius. Radius has to be longer than the distance away from the line of reflection.
Well, yeah, it has to be able to cross the line of reflection, right?
And beyond, the longer the better.
That's too many words.
I know. That's why writing it is hard. If you find your points are off a little bit, the radius on the compass is changing, possibly because you're moving the arms of the compass when you work. If you try to hold that ring on the top or the little twirly thing on the very top of the compass, you're less likely to have your radius changing when you're working.
I'm gonna try to think of like stuff.
You got 2 points. Now you do C. C as the center.
You started doing the triangle? Anyone? Okay. Whoa.
Now put the point of your compass on that.
Okay, so the first step is to set, this is what I would tell you, set your compass at anything that will cross the line of reflection. Doesn't matter how big it is.
I got the line.
You have your points out now, so it's easier if you have your, if you label your points like ABC.
Go back to the intersection. Yep. Cross.
That's your A, yeah.
That's why we want.
So now what we do is we, wherever that point is crossed on the line, we put that foot. And then you do the same thing for all of them.
Are you ladies good now?
Got that one worked out good, okay. All right, so that's number one.
That's not the right company.
What else from your self-test? Other questions from the self-test? None?
I'll try to remember.
Yes or no? None?
Wait, could you go over the, reflecting it to a certain degree?
Oh, like a rotation? Yeah, do an example of a rotation, sure. You have your protractor. You need a protractor to do a rotation of a certain degree. Yeah, this one you're gonna measure, so it's not really a construction. But the drawing compass is the way to go. Again, I think it's a lot easier because you're not having to measure with a ruler. So, let's see, what can we do? Let's just take a line segment. I'm gonna make a line segment here, which is gonna be called AB. And then down here, I'm gonna make point R. You're welcome to just watch this one if you want. You can watch it to the end and then do it yourself, it's up to you. But if, for example, the problem was asking you to take the line segment and rotate it around point R, clockwise is negative, counterclockwise is positive. So let's say that we're gonna do this thing a positive 80 degrees. That means if I have my pen laying here, it's gonna move in this direction. It's gonna move counterclockwise. So for the sake of showing you something different, let me do this. Just watch this one. Let's say I had GF. And if F was the center of rotation, and I was going to rotate F 80 degrees, for example, the vertex of the angle is going to be at F. And I might say, well, here's 0, 10 to the, here's 80 degrees. So what's going to happen is I have to turn this thing 80 degrees with the center at F. So it's just like taking your arm and turning it with your elbow being the center of rotation. Go back to this problem. Now the center of rotation is here. So this is where the 80 degrees needs to be measured. So now what I will do is I will say, well, from R to point B, that's one side of my angle. And I am going to have to move B from 0 out here to 80 degrees. And it's going to have to stay this distance apart because the rotation is kind of like the arms of a clock. You know, the arms of a clock or hands of a clock stay the same length. So now, here's 80 degrees. And then if we just take our drawing compass, put the point at the center of rotation, dial it down so that it reaches to B, all the way over here. That's where B is going to, whoops, I'm sorry, slipped on that one. That's where B is going to end up, so that's B prime. And then the same thing's going to happen, except with R, and that is going to also have to go 80 degrees. Well, I'm sorry, A, from R to A, that's going to have to rotate 80 degrees. So here's your 0. Mark 80 degrees. Somewhere along that line, and that distance comes from the protractor. I'm sorry, the drawing compass, and the protractor gives you your angle. So set it up, move all the way over, mark. There's point A prime. So then connecting B prime to A prime. So this becomes this. This segment becomes this segment. From here to here, that's an 80-degree angle of moving B. And from here across is an 80-degree angle of moving A. So the rotations might be a little harder, more steps. So you have to create an 80-degree angle with the vertex at the center of rotation, or whatever angle you're measuring. So it's like having this angle that is being drawn. And this point is at the end of one side of the angle, and its image is at the end of the other side of the angle. But those two lengths are the same. And then the same thing holds true for this. This length and this length are the same. So if you want to try doing that, you can try to rotate a segment. If that looks overwhelming, try to just rotate a point. Do one point. So if you set yourself up on paper with a center and then a single point, call it whatever you want, try rotating that 80 degrees. Just the point, using this as the center. Try to do that rotation. Okay. Start with pen paper. Papers, work done.
Good? You gonna try it?
So that was a rotation around C. Looks like it. Yeah, to work on, try to do rotations if you wish. Anybody else on paper, on here? What's that? Yeah, it's volleyball is on. Those is on. You do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, lots of extras. protractor.
And then when they get or else I'll be like a homeschooling bit.
Start your own school.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the
And their parents are gonna be like, what the shit?
Oh, we just drank coffee and we dinner here.
Yeah.
So if you're rotating it plus like 80 degrees,
Oh,
you can go this way?
And the dean of students and the
Superintendent.
superintendent. You gotta make one of those sellers like in Matilda.
No, not people are.
Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, I know we were talking about it. Okay, now we need to put them on. There we go. Yeah, I just made it keep my 10 times shorter.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I said he doesn't
Wait,
have
I
to.
can't even get it.
That's his feeling. Yes, he did.
I'll
Oh, there's another 415, right? Have a ton.
You guys do it? Is that negative 75 or just rotate 75?
No, we're students.
Yeah.
even better.
You can go counterclockwise, do you have an affirmative you put your finger in there to rotate it?
Counterclockwise is positive, clockwise is negative.
Okay. Good thing I asked that question.
What in the world?
The spinning thing just came on.
There's like a thing right here.
Wait, what are we doing for this?
Oh, the whole thing.
There you go. We're gonna arrive in the elementary gym at 4:30. After we do that,
Maybe it comes next
we
to
might
school.
play with
What?
I'll probably.
Oh, wait,
I don't know if I'll go over
I like playing on this.
well, I don't mean like. Hey, this is not ready. My toe.
No, I think they are.
But they're just gonna test it. As long as no one's left on my foot, I'll be fine.
We had like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
It's not,
That went fast.
it's not dandy.
Okay,